Hi everybody, it's Tasso. You can do anything you put your mind to, right? You know that. And still, why don't we not always achieve what we want to achieve? You have unlimited potential. I know that sounds cheesy, but it's true. You have unlimited potential. You must believe that. But the problem is that we don't always tap into that potential. What happens is most of the time we choose the easy way, or we follow our impulses. But why is this? Why can we not do what we are capable of doing? Well, the answer, I think, is rather simple. Because we don't have to. The reason why we don't do what we're capable of doing is because we don't really have to. I'm going to share with you a story in order to illustrate what I mean. I had interviewed recently a friend of mine. He's a vice president in a big corporate, in a big pharma organization. And he told me a story in that interview that struck a chord with me. Here's how that story went. So in that big headquarters, they put pressure on the markets usually in order to achieve their sales, because the money comes from the actual sales in the country. So what happens typically is that the market analyzing the country analyzing their market says, this is what we can achieve for you this year. The big corporation says, well, I think this is rather where you should look at, and then they have some argumentations and they typically agree rather closer to the upper number. So in this case again, so what happened is that there was pressure on the market, and the market how they responded, what they chose to do was as expected. They increased their sales force. Why did they do that? Because if you increase your sales force, you can reach more of your customers, and in big pharma it's the doctors. So you can reach more of those doctors and explain your product so that they can be absolutely aware of the benefits and prescribe the brand more. Now, they did this for a couple of rounds and planning, and they realized, however, at some point of time that this is not something that they can sustainably do or continue to do, because the costs of the sales force is rather high cost in a company. So what they ended up doing is they went one level higher to address policy. Now, what does that mean? In pharma, that means that they go to those experts amongst doctors, to those decision makers who very often come together frequently in the year and look at the recommendations. So they look into drafting and developing recommendations that are guiding doctors to do what they're supposed to do based on the evidence. So these recommendations are there for the doctors not to have to do all their evidence research themselves, and so follow those recommendations in order to prescribe what's the best based on the current evidence. Needless to say that this, of course, changed the game for the country completely. They increased their sales a lot. Why did they do that? Well, because, of course, it's very, very easy if now your product is recommended in those official recommendations, that you don't need to do the field work and go on one-on-one discussions, and so you have the best of both worlds. Now, two lessons that I got from this story. Lesson number one is that there is always another and very often better way of doing things. And lesson number two is that we will not act until we have to. And that's the case in so many areas of our lives. It is a problem in so many areas of our lives. I'm sure you're familiar with this. I mean, how often did you need a deadline for you to do something? How often did you start something and quit? Like, for instance, a typical example always going to the gym or eating healthier. Why? Because you don't really have to. How often did you make an attempt to get promoted and you started and you gave up, you didn't go the extra mile, you didn't give the extra effort? Why? Because you don't really have to. You know, we are very tempted to stay in our comfort zone, in that zone where we have established our routines, where we are comfortable, and where we actually follow our impulses and choose the easy way rather than going into stretching mode in that area where we are forced to tap into our resourcefulness. The benefit for us moving out of our comfort zone is solely to actually be stretched and tap into that resourcefulness. And this is the only way we can act on that resourcefulness and to actually tap into that unlimited potential that we have, is by having pressure. Now, we can try and put pressure on ourselves, but that very often doesn't work. You know how good humans are with putting pressure on themselves. So we need that external pressure. And so the message here for me to you is to please embrace the struggle, embrace the problems, embrace the obstacles, embrace the pressure that is coming on you. And if you're an employee, of course, you will be very familiar when your boss puts pressure on you, rather budget or time-wise. But now I hope that you can see that this is really a way for you to develop yourself and to tap into your potential. The only way for you to do what you're capable of, the only way for you to actually even demonstrate that you can do better than even yourself think you can, is by having that pressure and tapping into your resourcefulness, into your creativity, and into your potential. Now, if you are a boss actually, and if you have people reporting to you, my recommendation would be to absolutely align with everybody and with your team on why this is necessary to be done, why you are pursuing those goals, and then put the pressure on the how, because this will allow the team to actually go to their potential. You need to make sure as a boss that you believe that whatever you're about to do is possible. This is the number one requirement. And also that you show that you believe in people's ability to actually figure this out. If these two beliefs are there, if you communicate this appropriately with your team, then if there's pressure on the how, it's not gonna harm, it's gonna do the best and tickle the best out of the employees that there are. And for you, again, as I say, if you're the employee, please embrace the struggle. Reach out to the boss if you struggle with that, understanding why this is what is suggested or requested of you. Because once you've had this, and once you have either yourself or somebody else believe in your capabilities, I can tell you that you will tap into your potential right away. If you know somebody that would benefit from hearing this, please feel free to share this. If you liked what you watched today, what you heard today, then please give it a thumbs up, like it, and show that interest to me so that I can do more of those videos for you. Now, thank you very, very much again for watching, and until the next post, all the best.